following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WZWA Network's review show here of XPW's Rebirth show here, 18 years after the company first went out of business. They're back. You can't cancel what's already been cancelled. I'm Karlifornia, your host here for the proceedings, alongside my co-host here, Jooseyboy, Daniel Johnston. What's up, bro?
Oh, man, not a lot, my friend. I've never watched a full XPW event before watching this rebooted version with you. So it's quite an interesting experience. Obviously, I know the whole story and everything, especially after Dark Side of the Ring. But, yeah, an interesting show.
Yeah, bro, I thought this would be good to review because I did kind of watch a bit of the old XPW back in the day and have done over the years. And, you know, I saw some of the people that would be performing on this show, so I was excited to see what was going to happen and, you know, maybe see if that old vibe, that extreme, you know, vibe from Philadelphia would be revived here today. So we have a one show tournament here, 8 men to crown the next XPW World Heavyweight Champion on the show. A couple of other matches on the show, bro, but just wanted to say that first and foremost. Let's get into it, though. XPW Rebirth here in Rochester, New York. There was a pre-show. We did skip it because time is money, bro. Okay,
It is.
It's 10 p.m. here at the moment now, so I mean that was a good 3.5 hours that we were watching this. But on the pre-show, Fyte defeated Cheech. So just letting everyone out there, we didn't watch this, but I was excited. The show started, bro. And the first note I wrote down was the lighting is very typical XPW. I remember back in the day being quite frustrated sometimes when they'd be brawling through the crowd and things of that nature, and the lighting just wasn't what it needed to be. But they did better here than they did at certain points back in the day. Just wanted to say that. Before the show really kicked off, I just wanted to say Chris Kloss was on point. A great opening promo. They really fucking needed him on the show, bro. It really makes it authentic feeling XPW, despite the fact that a lot of the guys from back in the day weren't performing on this show. Like that there was a bit of respect to Supreme and also respect to the names of the past that helped build the company from back in the day. And even Messiah's name was name dropped, so that's nice.
Yeah, it was a nice touch.
Yeah, bro. Okay, so we start off the first 4 matches on this show, bro. The first round matches in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. I'm going to let you take the first match here. M-Dog 20, Matt Cross, taking on the one and only Willie Mack, Chocolate Thunder himself, with referee Danny Ramirez as the officiating referee. Bro, what did you think of the opening contest of Rebirth?
Yeah, well, I've always been a big fan of Willie Mack. He's another guy that I've followed, you know, for quite some years now on the independent circuit and through his various travels. Fun to see him here. They spent a lot of time, Chris Kloss did, on commentary, emphasizing the fact that Willie Mack had grown up in the Los Angeles area. He's from South Central Los Angeles. XPW ran a lot of shows in that area. Willie Mack, of course, a devoted fan of XPW. And so they really put across on commentary why it was special for Willie Mack to be here performing in this rebooted version of XPW. Immediately, you know, there's a reason to give a shit about what's happening, you know? So that was a nice touch that I wanted to point out right off the bat. Willie Mack, obviously a tremendous performer. M-Dog 20, Matt Cross, again, tremendous performer. M-Dog 20, veteran of the independent circuit, journeyman wrestler. You could sort of tell just this entire match that he was there to put Willie Mack over. You know, I didn't really get the sense of fire from him that he was coming out there and he was going to win this match. You know, I think that it was definitely obvious that he was there to do a job there to put Willie Mack over, but he did it really well. Matt Cross, tremendous athlete. Willie Mack, tremendous athlete, tremendous entertainer. He's just got that intangible, that X factor about it, bro, that people just, enjoy watching his stuff and they feel drawn in by him in the ring. So yeah, opening match, boom, B-. Great match.
Excellent, bro. This is the first time I've seen Willie Mack wrestle, believe it or not. I'm not as much of an independent aficionado as you are over the last, 20 years or so. Obviously, been more so into the major companies and companies from the 90s and 80s. But I was very impressed with him from the outset. And I kind of knew I would be because I heard his name for so many years. So I kind of knew going in that he was going to be somebody to watch. Matt Frost was impressed with him as well. I've seen him over the years on Tough Enough. I even saw him wrestle on the Hulkamania tour as Spartan 3000 or whatever the name that character was. I also thought, I wonder why Larry Rivera couldn't be on commentary with Chris. I don't know. I know that some of the guys back in the day have butted heads with Rob Black over the years, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it would have been nice to see a few more of those old school XPW guys on the show. But I do get it is a rebirth. It's starting fresh, but also kind of making it still feel the same. I thought the referee, Danny Ramirez, was a little bit rusty with some of his pinfall attempts, or pin counts, but, that's okay. He might not have refereed in 20 years. Thought it was a great win for Chocolate Thunder. Happy for him. And, I think we both had a feeling, and Chris Kloss really does need some credit here. These matches are just matches in a tournament. There's no build to any of these matches. So he's telling a story for us to be invested in these people as the matches are wearing on. So that was a certain important part to the proceedings.
Yeah. Crucially important, bro.
Yeah. Moving forward, bro, the next match in the first round of the tournament, big time, Bill Collier taking on TJ Perkins. I will take it and then pass it on to you. Liked Bill Collier coming out to Disturbed. Made me feel like it was, a wrestling show from 20 years ago. Both myself and yourself thought at first, I thought it looked like Big Cass. You thought it might have actually been Big Cass. But this is the first time we've seen this Bill Collier guy. It looks quite a lot like him. I didn't feel too invested in the match early on, I guess because I don't really know a lot about both of these guys. I know a little bit more about TJP, but there was a slow build for this. It was okay. It wasn't offensive or anything like that. But I felt like TJP's heat went for way too long, and I don't know if they were told, we need you guys to stretch this one out and go this amount of time for maybe certain reasons. Who knows? But the heat went a long time. Bill had a great comeback, but then another short heat followed. Well, the finish was lame, bro. I didn't like the finish. It was slimy, but spitting water into someone's eyes. I don't believe water to the eyes would stop anyone from kicking out. That's just me.
Because it can sting a little, but it's nothing that would stop me from actually. Yeah.
On my shoulders, can I not hear the referee? Can my shoulders unable to be lifted up from that? I thought that they could have. I would have expected more from TJP on thinking of a finish there. I just think water, maybe something else. But anyway, bro, what did you think of the second match here on the show?
Yeah, I was enjoying it at the beginning, but I think ultimately this thing fell a little flat for me, unfortunately. TJP, talented wrestler. He showed off a lot of his different little submissions and little tricks that he knows. Working the body part, trying to chop down Big Bill Collier. But yeah, ultimately, that's all I can really say. This felt a bit flat. I didn't dislike the finish as much as you. It did come across to me to be a bit lazy. But I just thought, you smarmy bastard. Like, I thought that was a nice heel thing to go out there and have this hard-fought match and only to just then win like that. It's just was really cheap and just slimy. So I liked that. But ultimately, unfortunately, it's going to be getting a D+ because it really didn't feel like it belonged on the main show, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries, bro. Moving forward, the most anticipated match for me, I guess, for the opening round of the tournament, MASADA, my boy MASADA, and you can check out my exclusive interview with him on the Insider's Edge. Just check out our YouTube channel. You'll find it there somewhere. Fantastic interview, great guy. And I guess before I kind of throw this over to you, I just wanted to let everyone know, MASADA has been known as a deathmatch wrestling legend for quite some time now through all the things he has done, being in the Masters of Pain tournament, Tournament of Death. He's worked, in IWA Mid-South. He's done a whole heap in deathmatch wrestling, but he's also been in MLW. He's been in Ring of Honor. He has this skill set, and he's, one of the best hybrid wrestlers in the world. He can do any style. Mm-hmm. And on the interview, he explained to me that it was really important for him to be a part of something now that he can really sink his teeth into instead of always doing these independent shots. He really wants to do something and make a career out of something at this point of his career. So happy for him, very happy for him. And it looked like on this show they were really going to be utilizing him here, and they're going to be utilizing him going forward. So happy about that. Throwing it over to you, MASADA versus the final ever ECW World Heavyweight Champion. It is the Man Beast Rhino.
Yeah, this match I think also fell a little bit flat. It did look to me like Rhino was injured. It did look to me like Rhino was moving a bit gingerly, like he was moving a bit slow. They did their best. Credit where credit is due. This still ended up being a C- match. This wasn't anything to sneeze at at all, but you could tell that it just wasn't really ever going to get into that fourth gear, as most matches do. They just kind of kept it down in that second and third gear for most of it, and then went into the finish. I think that was to protect Rhino, who might have been injured. Nonetheless, I have to rate it based on what I saw at face value. So C-.
Yeah, it's strange, bro, because we watched Bound for Glory. We watched Rhino's involvement on Bound for Glory, and he only came in at the end of that tag match to help Heath Slater get that victory in that tag team contest. Mm-hmm. So when keep that in mind, he only did like a little bit in that match, and it was the finish. And then when this match began, one of the first things you'd notice was that something might be wrong with his knees, or he's very ginger. He was very ginger. So you could tell when there was a lot of brawling outside of the ring. There wasn't a whole lot of, work done in the ring for the opening half of this matchup. So perhaps there is something going on there that we're not aware of. Perhaps he committed to this date and, wants to make sure that he did it. So who knows? But hopefully he's all right. And he's back to his best soon. Great suplex on the ramp, of course. Good spot with the skewers where he jammed them into MASADA's dick and balls. The kicking out of the gore, that kind of got me for a second there. And I really liked the finish, bro, because he put that chair on him. He hit that moonsault, and so often you see people overshoot a moonsault, but he landed just flush on him, just like in a Nintendo 64 video game. Stayed on him for the pin, got the pinfall. Happy for my boy MASADA to move forward in the tournament. Next up, bro, KC Navarro, a guy we had never really seen before, taking on the one and only, the machine, Brian Cage. I'm going to let you take this one, bro.
That's right, our champion, Brian Cage, taking on this newcomer, KC. I can't remember his full name. That's literally, I've heard his name about twice.
Navarro.
So, KC Navarro, right?
Yeah.
So this Navarro kid, I actually said I hope that they don't snap him up and sign him to one of the major companies too soon. I hope they leave him on the independent circuit to get more experience and work more styles. But he's tremendous. He is a high flyer of the future. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see him on WWE, AEW, Impact at some point in the next few years. Just tremendous footwork, very smooth in the ring. Even if he doesn't have a lot of size, I wanted to point that out because, he's clearly just a good worker. He's not someone that's got two left feet that's going to be fucking stumbling and falling over in there. So yeah, he came out. He pulled off a lot, some tremendous dives and some cross bodies and things like that I really enjoyed. But ultimately, This was more of a showcase for Brian Cage. They had a smaller opponent in there for him for this first match. He was able to really hit some spectacular deadlifts and some power moves and things like that, taking advantage of Navarro's smaller stature. This entire match went off without a hitch. It was great fun. And, it was a very emphatic win for Brian Cage to get establishing himself in this one-night tournament. So I'm going to give this a B+. I thought this was really good as well.
Me too. I thought at this point of the show, this was match of the show. It felt like, the MASADA match with Rhino was a bit slower because of Rhino possibly having some issues. We felt like the Bill Collier TJP match was quite slow and took some time before it picked up. So I was happy with the change of pace here. It was like from the outset, these two were setting a good pace. Cage was just impressive. My favorite moment of the match was when Casey ran at him and he just pushed him up into the air and he just did that flat pancake bump on the mat. That was impressive. When I saw Casey first come out, I was like, oh, he's this fuckhead, he had the peak mohawk and shit. But he was quite impressive. He won me over. So good for him, considering that this guy right here is a very bitter wrestling fan. Cage with a great win. Just really enjoyed the first matchup of his on this show. And as we know, he will be in a few more coming up. Moving forward, bro. Last held standing match. G-Raver taking on Vincent. Not that Vincent. We're talking about this guy that kind of looks like a mix of Tyler Rex and Elias. Mm-hmm. I first want to say, bro, I don't understand. I wish Chris Kloss could have explained what a last held standing match is, because to me this was just a hardcore match. So I don't quite understand why they called it that. So a little bit of information would have been nice, because it just seemed to just... But it ended in a pinfall, so it was just a regular hardcore match. Noticed the no legs on the tables, and that was something that happened going forward. They put a lot of money into this show. I'm just surprised that they weren't able to get some tables with actual legs on them. It wasn't too, positive or negative about the Lego spot. Again, I was just thinking the whole time, what the hell is a last held standing match? The senton through the door was sick. Even though as he went through those ropes, the guy that he was aiming to hit that on wasn't even in that spot. So G-Raver, the dive through the table, that's what I meant, was when he did that to Vincent, and Vincent wasn't even in the way. But the senton before that by Vincent was sick. That's what I was trying to say. Small package for the finish was a little strange, but as you had pointed out, maybe they're setting up for a rivalry going forward, or perhaps even they might form a bit of a team. Who knows? What did you think of this one, bro?
Well, first of all, I think last held standing was a reference to the actual two people that were in the match, because both of them had these two distinct, but like they both had these demonic type gimmicks, like these demonic, devilish, occultish type characters. Each man presented their character in a completely distinct manner, but the commonality between these two was that they were both crazy, demonic type characters, which I want to point out as well. Both of them, clearly put a lot of time and effort into their mannerisms and how they're going to perform their characters. I appreciate that. I appreciate wrestlers that have a gimmick and actually put time into their body language, their facial expressions, their costume, their, just everything to encompass that gimmick, rather than just putting on a Halloween costume and going out there. These guys really went out of their way to sell their characters, and that came through in the match as well. There was, like at the beginning, I wasn't really sold on it, Carl, bro. But then as it kept going, I realized, we're seeing like an escalation of violence. It's actually steadily like building. By the end, by the time we got to that senton spot and everything, I was really enjoying the match quite a bit. The small package, that pulled this down a little bit for me as well, because it did feel like it was out of nowhere. I actually think you still could have built for a rivalry between the two of them. So I'll get to the actually after that first. So there's a small package. It comes somewhat out of nowhere when you'd expect that they'd have some big final spot that they're going to finish the match with, if you're a long-time wrestling fan, but they didn't do that. So I was like, oh, that's a little weird. After the match, then the two guys, Vincent and how do you say it?
G-Raver.
G-Raver, of course. Vincent and G-Raver are now like rising, and they're face to face, eye to eye, sort of doing like a mirror image of each other as they rise up. And it's clear that they're trying to build like, okay, this one's just ended out of nowhere, but these two were having a hell of a match. If it hadn't been for that sudden roll up, anyone could have won this. So you can tell that they're building something, and I really like that, Carl. Like, I honestly really thought, wow, what a cool idea. You especially don't see that a lot on independent shows these days. But here we are. We're actually going to have angles. I like that. I'm just going to say, though, you could have still done a more impressive, a bit of a flashier finish for the match, and then still done exactly the same angle afterwards. So unfortunately, the schoolboy is going to pull it down, and I'm going to have to give it a C+.
Cool, bro. Moving forward, we get to our first semi-final match here in the World Title Tournament. It's Willie Mack, Chocolate Thunder, taking on the one and only MASADA. What did you think of this one?
This was one of my favorite matches of the show. I thought that the brutality really escalated throughout, once again, same as I said for the last match. But here again, it really felt like they were stakes. The commentary and the booking of this, they'd done a great job, and the guys in the ring as well had all done a great job of making this tournament feel high stakes by the time we got to the semifinals. So this felt like a big deal. Both guys were out there, and they were fucking wrestling the match like it was a big deal. Escalating violence. MASADA, of course, started using that chair and using other weapons and stuff like that, trying to turn this into more of a hardcore match. Willie Mack, of course, trying to rely on that high flying and that natural power and athleticism that he has. Good contrast here between the styles. It eventually devolved into more of a hardcore match, which I think you'll probably have more of the details on. Willie Mack eventually gets the win after a hard-fought match here. This was one of my favorite matches of the show. I give it an A-, and I loved the skewer spot at the end as well.
Yeah, excellent, bro. I didn't really write a lot of notes for this match because I was just sitting there enjoying it. Just enjoying these two go at it. Great story being told through the match. Loved MASADA's powerbomb on that folded-out chair.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that might have been the finish, but Willie Mack kicked out. Great end to the match. It was nice not knowing at that time who was really going to go over. It could have gone either way, and no one would have been disappointed. Mm-hmm. And I was just chuffed with the post-match attack. Really like that. The skewers followed by the brainbuster onto the chair with the skewers in his head. It was dangerous looking stuff, and it made me happy because it made me feel like, okay, MASADA's going to be one of their top heels going forward. And, I would actually be pretty keen on, because I know that this is something that is being talked about between these guys. MASADA was in Ring of Honor once, and he was in a team called the Carnage Crew with Tony DeVito and SHLAK. And I know that those three have been talking about maybe getting the group back together recently. So I would love to see that take place in XPW. I think that'll be a perfect place for those three to reunite and have a bit of a run. Love this match. Happy to see Willie Mack going forward in the tournament. Up next, another great contest here, the other semi-final for the World Title Tournament. TJP taking on the Machine, Brian Cage. I will just go through my notes here quickly. Impressed with Cage's wind, bro. A guy that's that jacked, you'd expect him to kind of maybe blow up by this point. You know, he had a match already with a quick, high-flying kind of guy, and now he's having it again here with TJP. So just really impressed with a guy that size being able to have that much wind. I thought Chris Kloss is going to have a sore throat after this event, surely. He's just yelling and carrying on the whole time. We both popped big time for that. He caught him, and it was straight into a suplex, into a jackhammer. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Cage has got so much control, over everything he does, so much power. He wins the match, but again, TJP bringing out the water. Just thought, enough with the water.
I liked that he brought it back. Like that actually won me over on it.
I know it made you laugh, but I thought it made me laugh too, thinking, just enough with the water. Enough with the water, bro.
Just quit it. Leave it, TJ. Like
there's other ways of winning, bro. So what did you think of the match, man?
Well, yeah, I actually thought that this was more along the lines of what I was hoping to see in TJP's previous match. I've seen these two have wrestled before. Good chemistry between them. TJP did his best to try to keep Brian Cage grounded wherever he could and just keep the pressure on him. Didn't really work. He still ended up getting steamrolled. I thought this was a pretty good match, which I'd probably give a B- to. I like the fact that even though the water was a really pathetic and annoying way to win his first match, he still decided to like bring it back here in this match. This time it spectacularly backfired on him, ended up fucking him over. That's what you get for being a douchebag. I actually think that was a nice piece of character work, although it would have been better if instead of being a bottle of water, it had been like a tube of lighter fluid or something like that. Something that would, or like capsicum spray or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
all right, I get you.
But other than that, yeah, I actually thought this was pretty good. Right man won. Definitely don't need to see TJP advancing beyond the semis.
No, certainly not. Yeah, Brian Cage has already got that. What's the word I'm looking for
aura.
here? Legitimacy. Yeah, the aura, the legitimacy. You know that this guy's got to go through to the final. Okay, bro. Well, we know what the final's going to be now. It's going to be Willie Mack taking on Brian Cage. But before we get there, we got 2 contests, and I'm liking that you went into this, bro, not really knowing who was going to be on the show, what was going to happen. When you found out Willie Mack was on the show, you were like, oh, you were so excited. Then you found out MASADA was on the show, you got more excited. Found out TJP was on the show, you kind of groaned, even though you know he's a good wrestler. You're like, oh, fuck this guy. Brian Cage popped you. And then here comes Colin Delaney. Who would have thought?
Oh, man. Oh.
In 2021, that Colin Delaney would show his face, rear his ugly head here with this fantastic gimmick he's got going on. Bro, take everyone through what you saw here with Colin Delaney and his sidekick there, Nick Ando, before the match with Silas Young.
Okay, so... All right, so this fucking dickhead in a tracksuit comes out the curtain wearing these really obnoxious, huge sunglasses inside. And, you know, I remarked to Carl, like, who's this dumbass? They stroll down to the ring. The guy takes off the sunglasses, and it turns out it's Colin Delaney. That's right, the famous Colin Delaney, jobber of WWE ECW fame from about 15 years ago now. And here he is, a little bit older. He's cut his hair. He's gotten himself into a bit better shape. Here he is, and now he's proclaiming that he's been invited to the XPW revival because he is an ECW original. Obviously referring to his run in the WWE ECW. Getting some great heat. He's blathering on. I hope that they continue this character going forward in XPW. Now, Silas Young ends up coming out to interrupt. I'd heard the name before. It took me a while. I had to actually look him up again to refresh my memory on who it was. But once I looked him up, I was like, oh, yeah, it's this guy. Seen him on shows before. He ends up coming out, confronting Colin Delaney and Nick Ando, and basically says, look, I'd rather kick your guys' ass than have you listen to you guys talk anymore. Colin Delaney says, whoa, we're not booked yet. You know, I'm not even in my wrestling gear. At which point, camera pans over, Nick Ando rips his clothes off, struggles to rip his clothes off because he couldn't get the pants off over the boots, which was hilarious. So he rips his thick clothes off, revealing Colin Delaney's original red tights and black leotard and white boots attire from the WWE ECW days, the exact same attire that Colin Delaney used to wear in his supposed ECW heyday. So now we have like 6 different layers of like meta commentary on the wrestling business going on here in this new character. And Silas Young is just like this journeyman wrestler that's just like, I'm not going to fucking sit here and indulge this dickhead. So he goes out there, challenges him to a match. Clearly, they wanted to use this as a buffer to give the main event guys a little time to get some steam back before having to go out there. Good call. And another refreshing thing, Carl, you don't see 2-on-1 handicap matches anymore, especially that aren't the tag in, tag out variety. They did a great job of keeping all three guys involved in this match. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, one guy would beat on Silas Young while the other guy was, taunting and blustering on. It was like they were working together. They were using double teams. You know, every time Silas Young would manage to mount an offense on one, guess what? The other one's recovered from the last bit of damage he took, and he's already right back there. They kept this flowing really well. That is so difficult to do. That's why you don't see a lot of very good quality handicap matches wrestling-wise. But this worked out really well for me. Nick Ando was kind of the star of this thing. I think he shined a lot. You know, this was a good showcase for him. But it was a good showcase for Colin, Delaney, and Silas Young as well. Obviously, this whole match and this whole segment was able to get Colin Delaney's new gimmick over, him and Nick Ando. It did that successfully. Let's talk about the finish, man. Silas Young positions Nick Ando on the mat underneath the turnbuckle like he's going to do a top rope move. Jumps up, does the classic old school thing you see where he uses his neck to kind of handstand up on the top turnbuckle. His back of his neck's pushed into the top turnbuckle, and now he's upside down doing a handstand. He's doing that move. At this point, I think, all right, he's going to drop down into a cool little, a swagger bomb or like a Vader bomb or something like that. That'll be a cool, impactful move. Gets up there, starts to move. This is all happening in slow motion in front of my eyes because I love it when I see something I've never seen before and something that catches me totally off guard. Silas Young's been doing good, but just pretty standard wrestler throughout the match. Here he is in this handstand. His hands begin to move on the ropes. Suddenly he twists out of that handstand, hits the top rope with his hamstring strings, turns that into a springboard moonsault. Boom, lands on Colin Delaney. 1, 2, 3. My jaw has hit the fucking floor. Wow, what a finish. I'm giving this match an A+, man. I loved it. Like I thought that this cleansed my palate perfectly, got me into the perfect mood for the main event to come.
Well, Brian, just to correct you, they actually pinned Nick Ando because Colin had failed on the match. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So that was great. That Colin just
I can't even describe the move, man. I had difficulty describing it. Like
it was crazy. I didn't see it coming either. I thought it was going to be a Vader bomb as well. But great match. I don't really have anything else to add there. Would definitely hope that Colin will continue on with this character going forward. And first time I ever saw Silas Young perform, former Ring of Honor TV champion. So I was impressed with him too. Looking forward to seeing him be involved going forward, as I'm sure, I don't know if he's still in Ring of Honor, but he probably won't be for much longer. Moving forward, bro, chairs match, SHLAK. I've seen snippets of this guy in the last few months. I've seen a little bits here and there of him. He's jacked. He looks the part. So I was really excited to see him perform for the first time. He takes on Madman Fulton, who we first saw on Bound for Glory the other week. So I don't really have a lot to say here other than I was kind of hoping it would be a bit more of a deathmatch style match. I was hoping for some tubes. I was hoping for some thumbtacks, etc. But I'm guessing because they're in New York, maybe they weren't allowed to do stuff like this, which might have played a part in them coming up with this idea for the finish. SHLAK takes a chair shot to the head and he's bleeding, and the match is thrown out because of the New York State Athletic Commission. So we both thought this finish must be a work. Maybe it was like to take the piss out of the commission for not allowing them to do more. Who knows? But I was really hoping for, one of those old school kind of XPW deathmatch type things. But I'm sure that we'll get that as time wears on, and they're likely to bring back the King of the Deathmatch Championship. What did you think of this one, bro?
Yeah, I find myself basically in complete agreement with you. I want to give a shout out to the guys involved in the match. I thought it was perfectly serviceable. but I'm of the same mind as you. I was kind of hoping for a bit of like some tables, some barbed wire, you know, like some mayhem, you know. We didn't get as much of that as I would have liked, but I definitely hope that we can review further XPW shows going forward. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff. I'm going to give this match a C- because I think it could have been just a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think it could have been better just if they were able to do more or have more things to implement, in the matchup, more sort of deathmatch style weapons and all that. But I'm probably 50-50 on hoping, Killifornia, the show that they're having on January 22nd, I'm hoping that that's going to be a show where they do a tournament for the King of the Deathmatch Championship. Who knows? I don't know what it's like these days when it comes to this stuff in the United States, if it's hard to get the license for the event based on it being deathmatch style. But if Game Changer Wrestling can do it, then I'm sure, it shouldn't be too difficult. And of course, H2O, Matt Tremont's company. So moving forward, bro, we get to the main event of the evening. It is the Machine, Brian Cage. It is Chocolate Thunder, Willie Mack for the XPW World Heavyweight Championship. We're very excited going into this one, bro. Please take the floor here. What did you think of the final match on XPW Rebirth?
Well, I definitely think, Carl, that this match delivered. These were the right two guys to have in this finals. Both of them are from Southern California. Both of them have spent a lot of time on the California independent circuit in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and other similar promotions to that. Both were fans of XPW growing up and, obviously giant independent wrestling fans in general growing up. So that made these two, in my opinion, the perfect guys narrative-wise to have in this final. Obviously, we knew both of them are tremendous powerhouses and tremendous aerial specialists. You have a match up here for the title where it's between two of these huge, powerful high flyers. And the match definitely didn't disappoint. They pulled off a number of tremendous-looking power moves. This match also featured some real tremendously stiff strikes, and it felt real strong style, and they were really laying everything in. They spent a lot of time building this thing up. They kind of escalated it at the right rate. That the build up can be very important in a match. Like build up in a wrestling match can be like build up in a porno video. You know what I'm saying? Like you want it to move along at that right rate so that everything hits and it gets that reaction. They did this tremendously. I think by the end of it, they had the crowd by far the most excited that the crowd's been throughout this whole event. These guys were total pros. It looked like a disappointingly low attendance. I'm sure you're planning on touching on that. But these guys performed as if there was 3,000 people in the building. They really had a hell of a match. The finish absolutely took me by surprise. I did not see it coming. I mean it in a good way. Willie Mack gets the triumphant win. Everyone's excited. Rob Black obviously made that final 3 count, presented Willie Mack personally with the belt. It's a nice moment. Rob Black's got a big smile on his face. Willie Mack, you can clearly see that it's a little bit emotional for him too. And then all of a sudden, senior referee comes back into the ring after being clocked earlier. He's arguing with Rob Black, saying it's not a legitimate pin because Rob Black's not a licensed referee. At that moment, Rob Black pulls the title belt away from Willie Mack, who was holding it. Brian Cage ends up with it. Brian Cage clobbers Willie Mack. He covers Willie Mack and Rob Black. A fast 3 count, another illegitimate 3 count. And we saw Willie Mack be screwed out of the XPW title that he so valiantly fought for this whole night. Wow, I'm giving this an A-. This was tremendous booking. I felt like although the final finish and the screw job, which I'm sure you'll go into as well, felt a little bit rushed, at the same time, I felt like other than that, it was brilliant. This was a really well-booked show. It wasn't just crazy, dumb, extreme stuff for the sake of it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I really enjoyed this match too. The only real source of frustration I had was when they went into the crowd and the lighting was a bit off. You couldn't really see what was going on. So I hope, like, going forward, I know that they didn't have a big crowd, so maybe they had to make the arena darker so it looked better on pay-per-view. But hopefully going forward, they sort their lighting situation out if they do get bigger crowds. I'm hoping that they do, because I enjoyed this show as well. Say what you want, think what you want about Rob Black. I don't worry about that kind of shit when I want to enjoy a wrestling show. I don't want to worry about anything. I don't worry about people's politics or whatever, or what they've done in the past. But I liked this XPW show. So yeah, the two right guys in the main event here. I thought that, yeah, they really worked well together. Really looking forward to seeing more contests between these two going forward. The only thing I want to say about the finish, I love the first referee spot, him getting knocked out, and then the other two referees come in, they get knocked out. I like the way that all went, because it created this chaotic scene of, like, you don't really know what's going to happen as the match. Someone's going to run in. There's going to be something that happens. I would have liked, when Rob was running down to the ring, a shot of him as he was running down to the ring. And I wanted Chris Kloss to say, hey, wait a minute, that's Rob Black in a referee shirt. He didn't say anything about it being Rob Black until after the pinfall had taken place. And I was just like, that's a key element of storytelling there that needed to be done in commentary. Not telling Chris how to do his job. He's very good, but I just thought that was something that really needed to be said.
But you know what, bro? I was just thinking right after we finished this show, like, I was thinking about what you said about him not acknowledging Rob Black. And I noticed, bro, that the referee came out and said Rob Black is not an official referee. What I think was the idea was that you weren't supposed to notice that it was Rob Black because he looked different when he first made the count. And then it was supposed to be like, oh, it's Rob Black. That's what I think they were going for. But I agree with you. It should have just been, it's Rob Black. It's Rob Black. Like,
yeah, I disagree with that notion, bro. I don't think that that's what they were going for. I think that they just kind of muddled up things, because if the first episode of XPW TV showed Rob Black with his new hairdo, I think we all know what he looks like. So I'm not trying to pick apart your analysis there, but I just feel like Chris should have said it. The 3 counts should have been made. Chris should have maybe questioned, is that even allowed? And then referee Danny Ramirez should have said, restart the match, because a 3 count's already been made. Maybe this is a part of the story going forward, though. I would like to at least been said that restart the match as Rob has handed the belt to Brian Cage. Rob nails the referee. Cage hits Mack with the belt. Then another 3 count is administered. So it was a little bit muddy, but at the same time, I liked the screw job ending, because yes, it would have been great for Willie Mack to win the championship, but where do you go from there? You need something to build towards, right? So he can chase this belt now. There's more money in the babyface chasing the belt than there is in him having the belt. And I think Brian Cage being the champion is a throwback to those monster champions from ECW. A Taz, a Mike Awesome, a Rhino, these unstoppable forces. I think Brian Cage is a perfect person to select for this. And the only other thing I want to say is that I kind of hope that this leads to a new Black Army, which was a infamous stable from the old XPW. I hope that he starts to form some sort of army again and kind of redo that angle with a new look to it. I think that might be something cool, because it's been a long time since there's been a big heel faction in wrestling. You don't see that much anymore. You want to consider, I don't consider the elite, I'm talking like a faction of 8, 9, 10 guys. That's what like the corporation, the Ministry of Darkness, the NWO. We haven't seen that in a very long time. So I think this is the right time, the right place to do something like this, because you just don't see it anymore. So hopefully that's something that they're thinking about going forward. But loved the swerve at the end of the show, and I really think this is this is what you got to do when you have your first show back. You got to create a little bit of controversy, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I think the show needed was maybe here and there going backstage, maybe Willie Mack's, being attended to by medical personnel, having the skewers taken out of his head. Well, just tiny little bits here, but that's okay. There's improvement to be made. And I just would have liked to see some hot chicks on the show. You expect that from ECW, XPW in the past. Be cool to see some ballets or female managers out there looking pretty hot. So I am a hot-blooded male after all, bro. So, okay, show ends. We go off the air with Brian Cage with the XPW Championship. Bro, give me your rating out of 10 and also any other additional thoughts on what you think XPW can improve on and what they did good on this show.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I wasn't sure, for the first third of the show, how it was going to go. I was kind of a little bit iffy on it. But as it got going, as it sort of got underway, it really became a really enjoyable show. And I like that the guy, the opening matches, they didn't try to do everything in the world because they knew they were going to be coming back out for more matches later. So this was really... They didn't overload you with too much too soon. This really built up so that the best stuff was saved for the end. And, that was probably my favorite thing about this because it got me interested in watching the next big show that they do. Like I want to see what happens now because they've gone out of their way to actually build some stuff up and sort of start some angles and some issues just dotted here and there throughout the show. They didn't try to turn every match into an angle, but they just had, a few here and there. And then they had the tournament as the overarching narrative device. Brilliantly done. Obviously, the improvements, I wouldn't have anything to add other than what you said. Better lighting. They need more, like a better marketing team. They need someone out there that can really utilize social media, that can get the word out, because I can't help but think this show would have even been a 9 or even maybe higher. Probably not higher, but maybe even a 9 if there'd been 500 or 600 people in the building instead of 200. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree on that, bro. It would have been nice if it was like a nice packed arena for that. But do you have your rating out of 10? Oh, you got it. 8.5. My bad.
Yeah.
8.5. Very good, bro. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'm not for any other reason other than I just... there was just a little bit of that extreme element I was looking for. The hot women, obviously, I was looking forward to. I guess I'm horny today, bro. I don't know.
I sat down for this show fully prepared to jack off. And, imagine my disheartenment when I found out I'd be jacking off only to men.
Yeah, the disappointment in your eyes when you realized the biggest tits on the show were SHLAKs.
All right.
It was a good show, bro. And yeah, looking forward to Killifornia next month. So Rob Black, I'm giving you some thumbs up here for this show. I think it was pretty good. And looking forward to a little bit more from XPW in the future. So that being said, Jooseyboy, let everyone know out there where they can find you.
All right. You can find me on Instagram at Joosey_boy, Twitch, Jooseyboy, Twitter, Jooseyboy, Facebook, Jooseyboy, youtube.com/user/Jooseyboy. And just in case you don't know how, that is spelled JOOSEYBOY. That's Jooseyboy. And I'll see you on social media, folks. That's
going to become a t-shirt slogan at some point. See you on social media, folks. And I am Karlifornia. You can find me at Karlifornia WZWA on Twitter. Please find the WZWA Network on twitch.tv, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at the WZWA Network. Please find my podcast, The Insider's Edge. This week, we'll be dropping an interview with Madman Pondo. Also, please check out, if you are into IRC chat, there is a group at #wrestling on the Ryzen network. The links will be in the description. But please, if you want to chat wrestling with some fucking awesome people, it's a really cool place, and it's a nice throwback to back in the day when IRC was something that we all used to go on to. So other than that, if you just search WZWA Network, you'll find us on every single possible platform you can possibly imagine. It's what you got to do, okay? And you're on YouTube right now. Please click subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button. If you didn't like this, hit the dislike button. It doesn't matter, because the more likes or dislikes that we get, the more traction the video gains.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
you know, it's like if you didn't like it, just hit that dislike. I mean, you'll be wrong, but you can still hit it if you want.
Well, thank you, Jooseyboy, for taking the time today. I know it was a long one. It was like 3.5 hours for the pay-per-view and all this time for the review, but I appreciate it, bro.
My pleasure. It was a fun show, and it's been a fun review, my friend.
Thanks, bro. And thank you, everyone out there, for watching the XPW Rebirth review show here on the WZWA Network. And I'm Karlifornia. This is Jooseyboy. And we will see you down the road. Yeah.